welcome back to Board Game Breakfast. We have a jam-full episode this week, so we need to get right into it. This is the week of Origins Game Fair. Later on in the episode, in the Tom Thinks section, I'll be telling you what we're doing at Origins Game Fair and how you can stop by. But for now, we have a contest where we're giving out these Marvel play mats to people. These are really nice mats, make the game that much more fun. And we did not hear from the winner of the last contest, so we've gone to the runner-up, Kelly Nash. Email me as quickly as you can, or I'll go to the next runner-up. But I have a new contest for you folks. We have 15 more heroes to show you, dice. Now remember, some of these could possibly be new versions of the dice from the original set. So just because someone shows up at one point doesn't mean they can't be repeated. But here's the picture for you. These are more Marvel Dice Masters dice that are coming out in the Uncanny X-Men. And if you can guess all 15 of these correctly, or if no one guesses all 15, whoever comes the closest, I'll pick randomly from those folks, and they will get 2 of these mats. So remember, when you guess, send an email to dicetowercontest@gmail.com and just number them from 1 to 15 and start from the top, going to left to right, and then just go boom, 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 all the way till you get to the bottom. Just number them 1 to 15. It's the easiest way for me to check to see if you got them correctly. Thank you to everyone who participated, and I hope this contest is fun for you. Well, you know what? It's time to get to the news, so here we go. Now, I would expect there to be a lot of news next week after Origins is over and I find out things. However, while I'm at Origins and while the other guys from the Dice Tower News team are at Origins, we will be finding things and tweeting them. So if you'd like to know about stuff as we find out or see pictures of the fair while we're there, just follow us on Twitter at the Dice Tower. Or you can go to Facebook and look for Dice Tower there and join our Facebook group. Those are ways to keep track of this. Anyhow, here's some news. Mayfair has announced that there are limited promo expansions. These are like, Mayfair puts out a small sheet of expansion. I don't have one around here right now, where it's like maybe for 2 or 3 of their games, and they're like little mini expansions. And they're going to be giving these out in the Game Trade magazine. So if you subscribe to that magazine, you'll be getting some of their limited promos. Portal has announced that they're going to be publishing Pixel Tactics from Level 99 and The Resistance from Indie Boarding Games in Polish. But to the U.S. publisher, because Portal will be showing up this year at Gen Con as their own publisher now, they'll be bringing Theseus and Imperial Settlers. Theseus is a great little game if you've missed it, one of the games that's kind of gone underneath the radar over the past year. Modiphius Games has announced a new game with Matt Leacock as the designer, a cooperative game based on Thunderbirds. No, not the Jet Squadron based out of Pensacola, but the Thunderbirds TV show from years gone by yours. This is interesting. It's a cool theme, one that's not been done in a board game before. And Matt Leacock, designer of Pandemic and Forbidden Island, is a great designer. We look forward to seeing what he'll do with that. Fantasy Flight has announced a new expansion for Star Wars card game, Between the Shadows. This is another big box one, another version of Yoda, another version of Jabba. And Stronghold Games has given a list of upcoming games, but one that caught my eye with them was Medina. Medina, this is a great game about placing these wooden buildings on the board. It's this very visually striking, beautiful-looking board game, and it plays. It's this very it's an abstract but very thinky one that I highly recommend. And finally, we have some information from Yellow on King of New York, the sequel to King of Tokyo. Eric Martin showed off a whole pile of pictures for this, and we can see the monsters look very similar, even though they have different names. And the cards, basically, from what we can tell, from King of Tokyo is going to have different districts, and you're going to fight in these districts and try to push monsters out and blow up buildings. But the more buildings you blow up, the more the military is going to come after you. Sounds like a lot of fun. Sounds like the complexity has gone up a bit from King of Tokyo, but that's hopefully not a bad thing. I'm very excited. Hopefully I can find out more information for you guys at Origin.
Hi there everyone, this is Scott Nicholson. Welcome to the Ivory Dice Tower, which is one academic's look at some aspects of board games. Now, a few weeks ago I was in Korea, where I was one of the plenary speakers at a Serious Games conference, speaking about gamification, and I was talking about the end game of gamification. And what I was doing in that talk was using models from massively multiplayer online games like World of Warcraft to talk about what happens when a player gets to the end of all of the levels, to the level cap, and how do those systems continue to keep people engaged when they're no longer just in this grind of getting points. And I thought about board games with this model, and what I've thought about are, with board games, how often is it that you play a board game and you get to the end as dictated by the rules and you want to keep playing, and you do keep playing. How frequently does that happen? Now, some board games it can't happen because the end is coming about because of you run out of a component. Like Ticket to Ride, when one player is running low on trains, the game ends. Or it's because it makes sense in the narrative, like Monopoly, when you've bankrupted everyone else, then you win. But in games that just have an ending point that seems rather arbitrary, do you ever keep playing? Something like Hansa Teutonica, where you have this end point that just comes up, it's just as you're starting to get awesome. And then you get frustrated. You say, man, I was just getting to where I could do cool stuff. And then it makes you want to play again. But you don't think about the fact that it's going to end at about the same point. So you're never really going to get in and say, yeah, I'm really awesome. Hooray! And how often do you say, let's just ignore the rules and keep on playing because the play is more fun than the points? There's one genre of game where this does happen, and that's party games. I find many times with party games, I continue to play well after the points even matter. So, for example, with Concept, which is a fun game to play, especially with Cards Against Humanity cards, you struggle to deal with the points. In fact, you run out of points pretty quickly, I found. And so what I actually do with that game is in the first round, I award points. And then I say, well, we've done easy cards. Let's get rid of those, move on to the medium cards, and start the points over. And then I sort of slowly cycle out the points. And then we're just playing the game to see how it works, if we can communicate our ideas. What is it about party games that gets us to do this? It's because there's more emphasis on the play. And our gamification lesson from this is to think about our design more as creating a party game than as creating a Euro-style game. Create a game where people are more interested in the play, in the fun, or in the real-world context than people are interested in just earning points. That should be our goal if we want to create a game that gets people motivated, is we want to create a game that people want to engage with because it's a fun activity, not just because they're rewarded for it. So that's it for now. I've got one more thing to tell you about with gamification, and then we'll move on to other stuff. So take care, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.
Time-a-lean. Time-a-lean. Let's play time-a-lean. Eggnog juice. Eggnog juice. Let's play eggnog juice.
Hi, Suzanne here, and today we're going to continue our discussion about Board Game Apps 101. Last time we talked about solo play, AI, and tutorials, and this week we're going to talk about multiplayer and achievements. For most gamers, the social elements and the challenge of beating a real opponent are the best parts of the hobby. With a board game app, the most personal way to handle this is through a pass and play feature in which you play the game on the same device against a person you're with. A lot of games have this functionality, but the best apps consider if you're going to play across from a person using a table or sitting next to a person and passing the device. And some games offer buttons that let you trigger your turn so that hidden information stays secret. Sure, you lose the tactile elements of gaming, but the portability and convenience of device gaming are huge benefits. For when you're on your own, but don't feel like playing solo, look for games with strong online play features. The best game apps make it easy to get online and find your friends, or match you randomly with another player. Many games use the device platform networks like the iOS Game Center or Google Play for this, but more and more companies are moving to proprietary networks. There are pros and cons to both approaches, but no matter the network, as the popularity of a game wanes, you'll be relying on your ability to start games with people you're already connected with versus random matching. Beyond player matching, you should also look to see if the game supports real-time and asynchronous play, as well as running multiple games at the same time. Asynchronous play is when turns are taken at the player's leisure, and the server or device stores that info until the next player is ready. This makes playing really convenient, but games can drag out a little bit, so a lot of apps offer time limits to help manage that risk. Well, now we've taken a brief look at solo play, tutorials, pass and play, and online features to help you assess board game apps. Let me know if there are other app basics you think are important or that you'd like to know more about. Talk to you next time.
Origins this week. There's a lot of content for you guys coming on this channel and on the Dice Tower Network. Lots of shows on Dice Tower Network. We'll be posting our show, which I took a look at Cool Mini or Not convention. We talk about some of the games that I played there, and we also talk about the biggest surprise we've ever had in the game, where someone maybe did a surprise attack against us or something. For videos, we're going to have Venetia, Castle Crush, Hero Brigade, Star Realms, El Grande, an older game, but a look back at it. The newest expansion for Ascension, Pixel Tactics 3, Age of Soccer. We have a new top 10 list coming out this week, our top 10 turkeys, games that we don't like as much as we used to. And there's quite a few stuff here from other folks, some Kickstarter previews. Dan is going to be doing some reviews. And so a lot of cool stuff. Keep track of this channel. And then next week we'll be putting out all the video that we took at Origins. And again, you can find all our shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. Okay, on the Chaz.
Hello Dice Tower viewers, Chaz Marler here from the Pair of Dice Paradise Board Game Podcast. I apologize for the sparse nature of the set this week, but a recent financial venture didn't turn out exactly as I had anticipated, and as a result, the budget's blown and most everything's been repoed. As you know, I recently did a couple segments on upgrading the train cubes in trains. Repo Man. Well, anyway, since then, I've received requests for suggestions on upgrading the stations and maps in trains as well. Repo Man. Well, okay. So, first off, to upgrade the stations and trains, you could use the stations in Ticket to Ride Europe. In fact, upgrading trains is the reason I own it. Repo Man. Owned it. However, while Ticket to Ride Europe works great for upgrading the trains, you'd need 2 copies of the game to give you the 30 stations that you would need. So, not very practical. Alternately, you could use the Tatooine houses from 2005's Monopoly Star Wars Saga Edition. Now, you can still pick up a pack of these houses off eBay for the price of a couple of cups of overpriced coffee. Repo Man. But what I did was I took a handful of the houses from standard Monopoly, applied a little Krylon Technicolor Type A, and voila, 30 little white stations that you can use in trains. And finally, the map. It's possible to create a modular map for trains using Settlers of Catan hexes, or even with the train pieces from HeroScape. I know HeroScape is out of print and its terrain can be really hard to come by, but being able to customize the map adds such longevity to trains that it's worth it if you can find some. Proving once again why HeroScape is the duct tape of board games. Oh hey, looks like the Repo Depot's all done. Now I can get started with my foolproof plan for getting my finances back in order. My foolproof plan.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel.
Jason Levine.
And today our question comes from Joe, and he says, how do you cull games from your collection? How do you get rid of games from your collection? Because eventually there has to be a breaking point, right? I mean, if you kept, let's say you're someone who likes to buy a lot of games, eventually you're going to run out of room. Are you?
No, I haven't run out of room yet.
So how many games do you think you have about?
I have no idea, thousands, but
Thousands.
I don't log them on Board Game Geek. I don't keep track of them, so I'm not sure. But if I did have to cull games, I guess there's 3 different ways you could go about it. You could either try to sell it through an eBay or a Board Game Geek, or you could give it to your friends. So your friends who don't have a game, you might want to give it to them if you don't care so much about the money. Me, I actually am in the process of moving, and I actually just gave Tom some games for the Jack Vasel auction. That way some of the games could just be auctioned off, which helps out the whole community.
Right. Jason took almost everything I was going to say. If you've never heard of a site, Board Game Geek, but that's all board gamers. So if you want to get rid of a game, it's there. And usually people in your gaming group will want them. In fact, I found a cool thing is sometimes I'll have a game like Twilight Imperium 3 or Battlestar Galactica, and if I'm only going to play it with a few people and they already have it, why do I need to keep it? And in fact, if I give games I like to my gaming group, then I can still play them with them. So effectively, I'm storing my game at their house.
I never thought of it that way.
Why? Half my game collection's at your house.
That's true.
And then also, like Jason said, giving games to charity is a big deal. Every year in November, there's a Jack Vasel Memorial Fund where you can ship games all over the world to different people who bid, or different conventions. There's other charities too that you can give games to, and it's a good thing. Or just if the game is fun, if the game's a good game, give it to a school. Give it to a family who has kids who like games. Instead of going to the store and buying a Monopoly, maybe give them that extra copy of Ticket to Ride that you're not going to play anymore because you like Ticket to Ride Markland better or whatever.
Exactly, yeah, and then you could help out. What I found now is some of my younger games I give to my sister, and now that my niece is 7 years old, she's starting to get into that age where she wants to play games, so I give them to my sister so she could play with my niece.
All right. So lots of methods, but the one method I don't recommend thrift store. I think it's a last resort. The game will go to somebody who might not want it. It might get treated poorly. Thrift stores don't take care of the games unless the game's garbage. But I mean, if the game is any good at all, I think you should look for a good home for it.
Yep.
Hey folks, Showdown's where we normally compare two games to see which one's better. However, today we're going to be comparing two conventions. Origins Game Convention is this week, and Gen Con Convention is coming up in August. And there are many other conventions, but these are two that are in the summer. Both are big conventions with a lot of exhibitors, both in America, both in the center of America, so that they're easy to get to. So which one is better? Well, let's take a look at the cons and pros of each one of them. Origins Game Fair is the smaller convention. It goes over 10,000 people, while Gen Con has 50,000. That could be a pro or con. If you want to be in big, gigantic crowds, you'll love Gen Con. If you're not a huge fan of big, gigantic crowds, then Origins will make you feel happier because it's big. There's obviously a lot of people there, but it's more spread out. You have more time to talk to the publishers there. You have more time to hang out with designers. It's just a more easygoing convention. Now, because it's a more easygoing convention, not every publisher goes there. So if you want to see all the publishers, then go to Gen Con. Now, not every single publisher goes to Gen Con, but about 99% of them do. And so if you want to see every publisher in existence, that's a good convention to go to. You want to spend more time with the publishers, then you go to Origins. More new games are released at Gen Con. There's some new games being released at Origins, like Kremlin from Jolly Roger Games, and some new party games from R&R. But for the most part, all the big summer releases are released at Gen Con, or at least very soon at Gen Con, and they're showing off a few copies of them. If you want to meet big name designers, it's usually a tie in that regard because they go to both of them. So there's your chance to talk to different people in the industry and have fun. For purposes outside, I'm going to give the edge a little bit to Columbus. I think there's a lot of great places to eat and things to do at Indianapolis, but Columbus has a fantastic zoo and also has a lot of great places to eat there. Columbus is probably a little bit more family friendly. It is, but they both are family friendly. Both of them are places you can take your family to. There's kid sections, and both of them have more than just board games. There's art galleries and miniature games and role-playing. If you're looking for spectacle, to see just amazing things, well then Gen Con wins hands down. They have costume parades and people walking around and artists and singers and things. But if you just want a game like there's no tomorrow, then Origins wins that one hands down. Because while you can game at Gen Con, it's not that hard to do. Lots of places to game there. That's all you can do many times at Origins. There's just huge amounts of gaming. So which one's better, you say? Well, if I was only allowed to go to one, I would pick Gen Con. And that's because as someone who needs to keep track of the new game releases, I would rather go there. Now, let's say I'm not Tom Vasel, the reviewer, and just ordinary Tom Vasel who would like to go to one. That would be a tougher call. It really would be. I still think I might edge to Gen Con because I'm a huge fan of crowds, and I like to see all the hustle and bustle, and to see all the games coming out appeals to me. But I could understand how people who like a quieter setting would prefer Origins, and I certainly do get more gaming done there. So if you're trying to decide which one, I might go by which one's cheaper for you, which one is easier to get to, which one are more of your friends going to. They're both really great, and while Gen Con is obviously a much bigger one than Origins, Origins still can be quite a bit of fun.
This is Tony. And this is Marty. And has this ever happened to you?
All right, we ready to go?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Here, go first, man.
Thanks, man.
No, wait, give that back to him. The rules say on page 7 that the first player is the person who went to the city most recently.
Really?
Yes, it says, look, see, right here.
Hey, I made a couple oranges and a purple.
Dude, the rules clearly say that they're fighters and wizards.
You mean mages?
No, I mean wizards!
I want to build a building, but all the building spaces are taken. I guess I can't.
It doesn't matter that the spaces are taken. You can build a building anyway. Haven't you read the FAQ?
Your turn.
All right, so at the start of my turn, I'm going to install this ice. You didn't draw a card first.
Rules lawyers.
Players that tend to nitpick on every little rule and can be an impediment to moving the game forward.
I like to call them know-it-alls.
Really? All right, but sometimes it is needed to keep from breaking the game, but it should be done tactfully and within the spirit of the game.
All right, that's true, especially during situations of like competitive tournament play and organized events.
But you can help keep those annoying rule lawyers at bay with a little preparation.
Luckily, in today's time, you can download most rules ahead of time before you play so you can read them in advance.
Or go check out the immense amount of knowledge on the game at Board Game Geek to help you prepare.
Or watch many online videos like Here at the Dice Tower, Watch It Played, or Rado Runs Through It to help you understand the game.
However, even with all that prep, sometimes you want answers to a particular game.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
I can handle the truth, but I object. That was real cheesy.
It was. So, sustained, we rest our case.
Cylon sneaking across the galaxy. Cobalt is a fallacy. We've been robbed. That's right. We're trying to find a new home, but we are not all alone. Somebody's a skin job. We are fighting heavy raiders. Somebody's a traitor. We get attacked. We need food and population to save our nation. What the frick? Someone is a sat on your dick. So we better just throw everybody here in a brick. Someone is a sign on your dick. So we're just gonna throw everybody here in a brick.
Okay, folks, I said at the beginning we're going to talk about Origins, so here we go. This year the Dice Tower is going to be at Origins, and what we're going to be doing is the Origins Dice Tower Summer Preview. And in that we're going to have our video cameras. We did this last year, so you can see them. And different companies are going to come and are going to show us some games that are either just released or are going to be released. So hopefully we'll show you some of the upcoming stuff from GenCon. And we'll be posting those videos next week. So we're going to be doing that for about half of each day while we're at Origins, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, doing that during those days. The rest of the time, I will either be wandering around getting news and taking pictures and meeting people, but I will also be sitting in that same play area, which is in the middle of the playing hall, and you'll be able to find it in the book. It's labeled Dice Tower, and we have signs. If you saw some of my reviews last week, we have big new signs that we'll be able to show off where you can find us. Come to that area when we're not recording, and you can come sit down and play games if we're there, or even if we're not there, sit down and play games. I don't care. Have fun gaming, there. So we'll be showing off. I'll have some of the games from Arcane Wonders that will be in the Dice Tower Essentials line, the new Sheriff of Nottingham. We want to get as much feedback on this before it goes to the final printing. Come play it. It is a bucket load of fun. And some of the other games that we're trying out for that line. I will also be moving around. I will be recording a couple things. You've seen at the end of my videos, we have people say, shut the door. Come by, tell me you want to say shut the door, I'll record you. You'll be in a video every once in a while saying that. Also, we'll be doing an audio podcast where I want to talk to the quote-unquote man on the street at Origins. And so I can talk to you about what it's like to be at the fair, and you'll be in one of the Dice Tower episodes. We'll be talking about that. Or just come up and say hi. And we have Dice Tower candy. That's not that big of a deal, I guess, but I thought it was cool. Custom Dice Tower candy. So come by the tables and get some of that, because it's really good candy. So that's basically what several of the things that we've been doing. There's no major events at Origins. There's a get-together dinner thing, but I've already talked about that, and that's pretty full as it is. There's also on the Sunday morning of Origins for the Christian worship service, I'll be preaching at that, so in case you're interested in that, you can come out there. And then just say hi to me if you come by. Please, if I'm talking to someone, come up and talk to me. It's not a big deal. I always hear people say, well, you were so busy. Well, I'm not that busy. Come say hi. We love to meet our fans. I'll be there. Eric Summer will be there. Sam Healy will be there. And several other folks from the Dice Tower News team will be there. It's going to be an exciting time. Ryan Metzler. It's going to be an exciting time. And if you're going, I hope you have a great time. So, anyhow, it's getting close to time to shut this down. Here we go.
The classic friendship killer is, of course, Diplomacy by Alan B. Kalhammer, or Hamer, I'm not sure how to pronounce that one. Currently produced by Hasbro under the Wizards of the Coast label. Diplomacy, for those of you who haven't heard of it, are you out there? Is a war game where victory is determined by negotiation, not dice rolls. So you're going to make deals, you're going to break those deals, you're going to conquer countries. Who can you convince to let you win? That's the key to Diplomacy. And finally, the last one I want to talk about is a masterpiece of collusion and bribery and corruption, and that is Junta Viva el Presidente. This is by Sebastian Riesel and Christoph Reiser. Published by Z-Man Games. It is currently, this bad boy is out of print right now, so keep an eye on those math trades and internet auction sites, or email Z-Man Games at the email that's appearing on your screen right now, and let them know that you want Junta Viva el Presidente back in print. In this game, you are part of a military cadre that's just thrown a coup. You've put your president in power in the president's office, but now you're having second thoughts. You're thinking, well, maybe he shouldn't have power, maybe I should have power. And what's going to happen is the president bribes everybody to maintain their support. Sometimes maybe you don't like the bribe, maybe you think you deserve the power more than the current president, or maybe you just want to watch the world burn. Anyway, at the end of a round, if the president's still in power, all those players who didn't attack him, they get their bribes. But anyone who turned their back on the president gets nothing. And if enough people turn their back on him that he's been deposed, well then nobody gets anything, and the new president takes over, bribing everybody for their support. Fantastic game. If you have the chance, give it a shot. Anyway, that's it for Backstabbing Games. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Hi, welcome to the Board Game Nights. I'm Christoph Schrader.
And I'm Jessica James. And you need to stay on your side. There is only room for one board game night here.
Today we're going to be looking at area control as a mechanic in board games.
Area control is a very common mechanic seen in a lot of different board games. Small World and Kemet are similar games with varied complexities. The goal is to basically hold onto an area and then you gain points for that, but they have different difficulties.
The intrigue of playing an area control game is in how you use your different units to hold these areas to thus score the different points, and that's where the difficulty normally lies in playing them.
Military games often use area control because it reflects basically military units moving around the board into different areas.
And you'll see it in more aggressive games as a result. I'm going to take this pretty little area all for myself.
Oh no, I'm polluted! Oh no!
Now, area control is also used in other board games. A good example of this is Trains. Now, Trains is a deck building game, more like Dominion. However, it uses area control in the map that people are playing on to signify the different areas you're moving into with your train network to score points.
Yes, yes.
I shouldn't have flicked the little guy.
But Freddy!
And that about wraps up our look at area control board games.
Yeah, well, I hope you enjoyed the rest of your board game breakfast.
And that looks like all the time we have for today. So, I'm excited about this week. Lots of great videos for you guys. Lots of cool stuff. And hopefully I'm going to see some of you at Origins. It's going to be a blast. And even if I don't, hopefully you'll get a sense of what it was like for us to be there and hear about all the new great games coming from there. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vasel and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production, sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., an amazing place to buy board games. Cool stuff in stock at CoolStuffInc.com.